the day we were supposed to get our marriage license. I waited all morning at City Hall. Sophia never showed. I called her a dozen times, each one going straight to voicemail. I was in a full-blown panic when a picture suddenly arrived from Caleb Gordon, her assistant. It was a photo of Sophia and Caleb in a hotel bed, fast asleep. A message popped up beneath it. Leo, Sophia worked super late last night. I figured I'd let her sleep in. I'll have her call you when she wakes up. Okay. I stared at the words, a roaring buzz filling my ears. The world went gray. Sir, are you okay? A clerk steadied me as my knees buckled. After a long moment, the world came back into focus, sharp and painfully clear. The all-consuming love I had for Sophia shattered in that instant, leaving behind nothing but the icy calm of devastation. I picked up my phone and typed a reply to Caleb. Forget it. Just leave the trash where it is. Back at the office, I walked straight to my desk, opened my laptop, and started a new document, resignation letter. As my fingers flew across the keyboard, memories flooded back, an unstoppable tide. 3 years ago, when Sophia took over her family's company, Reed Innovations, their suppliers were skeptical. They put contracts on hold, watching to see if the new CEO would sink or swim. Projects stalled, credit lines were about to snap, and she was terrified. I was head over heels in love, so I didn't hesitate. I quit my job and joined her team. To pull the company back from the brink, I poured everything I had into it. I used my engineering background to spearhead the development of a groundbreaking new product that was miles ahead of the competition. I pulled all-nighters negotiating with key suppliers, securing better terms, and finally, I landed a major investor who injected the capital we desperately needed. The company was saved. The turnaround became a legend in our industry, and Sophia was hailed as the new Iron Lady of tech. At the celebratory gala, I worked up the courage to propose, and she said yes through tears of joy. In that moment, I was the happiest man alive. But I don't know when it started to change. Slowly, the smiles on Sophia's face became rare, and her gaze grew sharp, appraising. Drowning in praise from the outside world, she fell in love with being looked up to, with the feeling of absolute control. When we discussed new strategies, she no longer listened to my analysis. She'd shut me down with an unchallengeable coldness, often in front of others. She even insisted we downplay our relationship at the office, calling it maintaining professionalism. In contrast, her attitude toward Caleb, the new assistant, was entirely different. He was a recent grad, clumsy and prone to mistakes, but Sophia never got angry. She would just gently reassure him. At first, I didn't think anything of it, but then she started taking him out to concerts, art festivals, long dinners, things that went far beyond a professional relationship. I finally realized something was seriously wrong. I tried to talk to her, to remind her that he was her employee and I was her fiancé, but every conversation devolved into a bitter argument. And now this, standing me up on the day we were supposed to make it official, all for him. It was finally painfully clear. It was time to let go. The freshly printed resignation letter was still warm in my hand when my office door flew open without a knock. Sophia stood in the doorway, her expression like ice. Leo, conference room. Now, before I could answer, she was gone. I placed the letter on my desk and walked to the conference room. All of the company's department heads and senior managers were already there. I'm announcing a decision, Sophia said, her gaze sweeping across the room. Her voice held a regal authority that permitted no dissent. In light of his outstanding performance, particularly in handling market feedback and client communications, I've decided to promote Caleb Gordon to Associate Director of Marketing. He will be assisting Director Vance with his duties. A stunned silence fell over the room. Everyone exchanged confused glances. Caleb had been here for what, a few months? What achievements? His job consisted of getting coffee and taking meeting minutes. A promotion to Associate Director? He'd basically skipped the entire corporate ladder. Caleb stood, his face a mixture of feigned surprise and humility. He gave a small bow. Thank you, Ms. Reed, for your trust. My experience is limited, so I look forward to learning from all of you. I let out a short, sharp laugh. It took me 3 years of grinding, of bleeding for this company, to become Director of Marketing. And now, with a single sentence, Sophia was promoting her little pet project to be my number 2. She was really trying to get under my skin. As if she heard my scoff, Sophia's eyes locked onto mine. She spoke in a commanding tone. Leo, you're experienced. You know it takes time for new leaders to get up to speed. Our new product launch is in 3 days. It's the perfect opportunity for you to mentor him. I refused. My voice was colder than I'd ever let it be with her. Marketing doesn't need a two-faced sycophant who only knows how to play innocent and suck up. The room went dead silent. No one had ever seen me, the man who had always been Sophia's biggest champion, so openly defy her, especially not with such brutal honesty. Caleb's face went white, and his eyes immediately welled up with tears, as if he'd been mortally wounded. I know Director Vance has some misunderstandings about me. Please just give me a chance. I'll work hard. I won't disappoint Ms. Reed. Sophia's expression softened into one of pure sympathy. She pulled a tissue from her purse and dabbed at his eyes before turning her glare back to me, her face a mask of fury. Leo, my office. Her voice was low, laced with an approaching storm. I stood up, my face a blank slate, and followed her out. The second her office door closed, Sophia's tone shifted, becoming uncharacteristically gentle. Leo, I know you're acting out because of this morning. I forgot about City Hall, she said, the lie rolling effortlessly off her tongue. I had a last-minute meeting with a massive client, and I couldn't get out of it. You know I did it for the company, for our future. We can get the license anytime. Once things calm down, we'll pick another day. She sighed. Even if you're mad, take out on me. Don't bring this negativity to work. How ironic. The first time I'd heard that gentle tone from her in months, and it was all a lie, all to protect another man. You've gotten good at acting, Sophia, I said, giving her a sarcastic thumbs up. Spending time with Caleb has really improved your range. You don't even blush anymore. Leo, you don't believe me? A flash of panic crossed her face, but she held her ground. I held up my phone, the picture of them in bed displayed on the screen. You must have been working so hard, Ms. Reed. Taking client meetings in hotel beds now? That's a level of dedication I can only aspire to. Her eyes darted to the screen, and she rushed to explain. I was exhausted from working late. Caleb took me to a hotel, but we got separate rooms. Nothing happened. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd overthink it. How many times have we fought because of your jealousy? I'm tired of it. Your ability to twist reality is truly impressive, Ms. Reed. No wonder they call you the Iron Lady. That jab hit a nerve. It was like dropping a match in gasoline. Sophia exploded. Don't you push me, Leo. This promotion is a notification, not a negotiation. You don't have the right to refuse. The old me would have been terrified of her anger, would have done anything to calm her down. But now I just looked at her, feeling nothing but a profound, settled emptiness. As long as I'm the director of marketing, I said calmly, if you dare bring him onto my team, I'll find 100 ways to make his life a living hell. I waved a dismissive hand, unwilling to continue the conversation, and walked out of her office. Crash! Something heavy hit the door behind me. I didn't resign on the spot for one reason. The new product launch in 3 days. I had no feelings left for Sophia, but that product was the culmination of months of my team's blood, sweat, and tears. I couldn't let it fail. I decided I would see it through the launch, and then I would leave for good. When I got back to my office, the resignation letter I'd left on the desk was gone. I didn't think much of it and got back to preparing for the presentation. After work, I went back to the condo I shared with Sophia, our supposed marital home, and started packing. There wasn't much of mine to pack, mostly professional books, industry reports I'd collected, a few suits, and some personal effects. The warmth, the sense of home, was all tied to her things. I was halfway through when I heard the beep of the electronic lock and the click of high heels on the hardwood floor. I froze. Sophia rarely came home this early. Leo, you here? Her voice called out. I'm starving. Is there anything to eat? I pushed the suitcase aside and walked out of the bedroom. Well, what brings our busy CEO back to her humble abode? Oh, stop it, Leo, she said, waving it off. It's been a whole day. You should be over it by now. I'm craving your signature bolognese. Will you make it for me tonight? Just like that. In the past, after every fight, I'd be the one to swallow my pride, and then she'd offer a small olive branch like this, and I'd gratefully rush back in her arms. Over time, she'd started to take it for granted. Sorry, the kitchen hasn't been used in a while, I said, my voice flat. If you're hungry, order something. Her brow furrowed. Can you stop talking to me like that? You never used to be this way. I tried talking to you nicely before. You didn't seem to like that either. I shot back, leaning against the sofa with a mocking look. You still gave me that stone-cold face every time. You. She was speechless with anger, taking a moment to compose herself before walking to the kitchen. A minute later, she came back holding 2 instant ramen cups. See? When I'm not here, you don't even take care of yourself, she said with a soft smile. The launch is just around the corner. Our director of marketing can't be working on an empty stomach. Looking at the ramen, I was hit with a wave of nostalgia. Back when Reed Innovations was on the verge of collapse, we lived on instant ramen she'd make for us while we worked through the night. I used to joke that I could eat her ramen for the rest of my life and never get tired of it. Seeing the flicker of warmth in my eyes, Sophia seized the opportunity. I know you have your issues with Caleb, but trust me, he's a good kid. Just mentor him a little, please. So that's what this was about. Of course, for a second, I had allowed myself to slip back into a beautiful memory, and she couldn't even grant me that. He can join the marketing department in 3 days, I said, not wanting to argue anymore. I gave her a deadline, knowing it wouldn't matter. By then, I'd be gone. I knew my fiancé was the most generous man in the world, she chirped, beaming. She leaned in and planted a quick kiss on my cheek. God, I'm so tired. My shoulders are killing me. Come on, you have to give me one of your massages. I missed them so much. She stretched dramatically and headed toward the bedroom. I wiped her kiss from my cheek with the back of my hand, my eyes as cold as ice. Leo, what is this? Sophia had come back out, dragging my half-packed suitcase behind her. Since she'd found it, there was no point in hiding. It's exactly what it looks like, Sophia. We're done. She actually laughed. Oh, Caleb, you're a grown man. Are you really stooping to these kinds of childish games? It's pathetic. Before I could respond, her phone rang. She answered, and I could faintly hear Caleb's panicked voice on the other end. Ms. Reed, I'm so sorry. I messed up the files you gave me to organize. What do I do? Sophia's voice instantly became a soothing balm. Don't worry, I'm on my way. It's fine. We have backups. Just don't touch anything. I'll be right there to fix it. She walked to the door, then turned back, pointing at my suitcase. We'll talk about this when I get back. And don't you dare try some childish stunt like running away. I don't have time to play these games with you. A cold, hollow laugh escaped my lips as I watched her two-faced performance. I didn't wait for her to come back. I zipped up my suitcase and walked out of that cold, empty house without a shred of regret. The next 2 days, I buried myself in work, finalizing everything for the product launch. The night before the event, however, I received an email with a single attachment. It was my resignation letter, with Sophia's neat, perfect signature on the approval line. Leo, Caleb said, standing in my doorway and waving the printed document in front of my face. Ms. Reed has accepted your resignation. You can pack up your things now. He smirked, and you don't need to attend the launch tomorrow. Sophia knew how much this launch meant to me. She would never have approved my resignation right before it. Something was wrong. So, it looks like our new associate director is planning to use this launch to make a name for himself, I said, looking up at him calmly. Caught red-handed, Caleb felt no shame, only smug triumph. Don't worry, I'm going to prove that I'm every bit as good as you are. Well then, I said, my voice dangerously smooth, I'll be watching your perfect performance tomorrow with great interest. I began to calmly pack the few personal items left in my office, my movements unhurried and composed. The product was fully designed, every phase meticulously planned. It was ready. As for Caleb trying to steal my thunder, I wasn't worried. He didn't have a talent. By the way, I said, holding up the signed resignation letter, to thank you for this, let me give you a piece of advice. Caleb's eyes lit up. Bring a change of pants to the launch tomorrow, I said with a thin smile. I'd hate for you to have an accident on stage. The launch event for Reed Innovations' new Aura phone was a spectacle of light and sound. The room was packed with media, their cameras aimed at the stage like a firing squad. The air crackled with anticipation. But I, the man who had spearheaded the entire project, was nowhere to be found. Backstage, Sophia paced relentlessly, calling my phone over and over, only to be met with the same cold, automated voice. The person you're calling is unavailable. The minutes ticked by. The guests were all seated. The pre-show music was already playing. Ms. Reed, Caleb said, seeing his opportunity. It looks like Leo might be held up. Maybe. I should go on. Seeing her hesitate, he puffed out his chest. Don't worry, Ms. Reed. I've studied all of Director Vance's presentation materials and the core product specs dozens of times. I've got this. Fine, Sophia said, taking a deep breath. There was no other choice. Caleb, you're on. Stick to the core features and advantages. Keep it concise and accurate. Go. You can count on me, Ms. Reed. A triumphant gleam flashed in Caleb's eyes. He grabbed his notes, adjusted his brand new, perfectly tailored suit, and strode confidently onto the stage. The spotlights hit him, and he beamed, scanning the crowd as if he owned the world. This was the moment he had been dreaming of. Our brand new Aura phone series uses a revolutionary OmniDrive architecture, he announced, his voice clear and strong. Through algorithmic optimization and hardware synergy, we've boosted computational efficiency in core applications by over 80%. At the same time, we've reduced power consumption by 20% in typical usage scenarios. Caleb spoke with practiced ease, laying out the technical specs, market positioning, and key features one by one. He even added some of his own forward-thinking analysis that wasn't in my original notes, earning nods from the press and a constant barrage of camera flashes. Watching from a monitor backstage, Sophia's tense shoulders began to relax. She looked at Caleb with undeniable admiration. After a round of thunderous applause, Caleb concluded his presentation, standing proudly on stage. It was time for the Q&A. You said the Aura phone is targeting the high-end business market. A journalist from a major tech publication began, but its price point is 15% higher than your main competitor, Apex Dynamics, and their flagship product. How does Reed Innovations plan to bridge this huge gap between your pricing strategy and market reality? Are you relying solely on brand prestige? Well, Caleb froze. He had no idea how the pricing strategy was developed. He mumbled some corporate platitudes about having confidence in their efforts to overcome any challenges. Another reporter stood up. Your Aura phone uses the new Dragonfly chip, but currently, only one manufacturer in the world, T-Corp, can produce it reliably. Rumor has it T-Corp's main production line has been severely impacted by a recent scandal. How can Reed Innovations guarantee sufficient inventory for the launch and a stable supply chain moving forward? I can assure you all, Caleb said, wiping a bead of sweat from his forehead, that the Aura supply is absolutely not an issue. The questions kept coming, each one more pointed and technical than the last. Having only memorized a PowerPoint, Caleb was completely out of his depth. He was soon drenched in sweat, stammering and looking utterly lost. The atmosphere in the room turned from excitement to confusion and then to irritation. Sophia's face was grim. She strode onto the stage and took the microphone. My sincerest apologies. Due to unforeseen circumstances, we will have to conclude the press conference here. We will be organizing an online Q&A session soon to answer any further questions. The entire event ended in an awkward, embarrassing fizzle. The rapid, furious clicking of Sophia's heels on the marble floor of the executive wing signaled her rage. Leo, you owe me an explanation, she yelled, throwing open my office door, only to find it completely empty. The only thing left was a single sunflower plant on the windowsill, a gift she had given me. Sunflowers symbolize faith and loyalty, she had told me once. They represent the devotion in our love. Her own words echoed in her mind, and a wave of pure dread seized her heart. She rushed to the HR department, her voice trembling slightly as she asked the director, Ms. Davis, what happened to Leo's office? Startled by the CEO's panicked expression, Ms. Davis answered respectfully, Ms. Reed, Director Vance has officially completed his resignation process. What? Sophia felt like she'd been struck by lightning. When did this happen? Don't I have to approve his resignation? But you already signed it, ma'am, the HR director said, timidly handing her the document. Mr. Gordon brought it to me himself yesterday. Sophia stared at her own signature. She remembered it now. Caleb had brought her a stack of documents to sign yesterday. He'd been standing beside her, showering her with flattery and admiration, distracting her so much that she'd signed everything without reading a single page. She never imagined that Leo's resignation letter was buried in that pile. An icy chill shot up from her feet to the top of her head. The world started to spin. Seeing her sway, Caleb rushed forward to admit his mistake. Ms. Reed, it's all my fault. I was careless. I should have reminded you what was in the files. Normally, this act of pitiful contrition would earn him Sophia's sympathy and absolve him of any wrongdoing. But not this time. Sophia's eyes were bloodshot. She spun around and slapped him across the face, the sound echoing through the quiet office. How dare you? She shrieked, her voice distorted with a rage so pure it stripped away all her usual composure. I'm not an idiot. Don't think I don't know what you were trying to do. Ms. Reed, maybe you should go home and check, the veteran HR director suggested, knowing the nature of my relationship with Sophia. Yes, home. Leo must be at home waiting for me, Sophia muttered, a desperate hope dawning in her eyes. She raced out of the office and drove home, the image of my packed suitcase from a few days ago filling her with a growing sense of panic. She burst through the door to find the condo just as empty as my office. Everything that was mine, every book, every suit, every trace of my existence was gone. No, Sophia whispered to herself, forcing a calm she didn't feel. Leo loves me too much. He wouldn't just leave. He's just playing hard to get. That's all this is. She pulled out her phone, her hands shaking as she dialed Caleb's number. She gave him a new, final command. Find Leo. Find out where he is. If you can't, don't even think about coming back. While Reed Innovations was crashing and burning, I was watching the whole thing unfold on a live stream from the VIP lounge at O'Hare. Seeing Caleb self-destruct on stage, I couldn't pretend I felt nothing. A tremor of pure, unadulterated satisfaction ran through me. I stood up, clenched my fist to keep from shaking, and finally I couldn't hold it in anymore. I burst out laughing. "Serves you right, Sophia," I muttered to the screen. "Now you see what your precious little pet is really made of." Huh. A laugh from nearby cut through my thoughts. I looked over and saw a familiar figure, also glued to her phone, cackling with delight. "Hey, this is a public place. Have some class," I grumbled. Lauren Sinclair looked up. The smile on her face froze, then melted into a perfect theatrical eye roll. "Leo Vance? What are you doing here?" I knew my eye was twitching all morning. Had a feeling it was a bad omen. Lauren was the CEO of Apex Dynamics, Sophia's fiercest competitor. For years, our companies had been locked in a brutal corporate war. Thanks in large part to my work, Reed Innovations had usually come out on top, which meant Lauren treated Sophia and me like a personal nemesis whenever we crossed paths. "Wait a second," she said, her brain catching up. "What is the great director Vance doing here? Shouldn't you be at your own product launch?" She glanced down at her phone, where the disastrous press conference was still playing out. "I could be wherever I want." "Mind your own business," I said, closing my eyes to rest. But she wasn't done. She leaned closer, a wicked grin on her face. "Trouble in paradise? Or did Sophia finally find a new boy toy? Go on, tell me. I could use something to brighten my day." The truth was a raw wound. I ignored her, pretending she wasn't there. Lauren let out a dismissive humph and went back to her phone. I don't know how long I dozed, but I was jolted awake by a commotion. "Ma'am, you can't go in there. Please, you need to leave." I opened my eyes to see Sophia shoving past an airport employee and storming into the lounge. Her hair was a mess, and her eyes were locked on me with a desperate intensity. "Leo, are you done with this tantrum? Come home with me." "Sorry, Ms. Reed, but I've already resigned," I said coolly. "Leo, I know you're just throwing a fit because I've been spending time with Caleb," she said, lowering her voice. "I promise, I'll keep my distance from him. Is that what you want to hear?" "Oh no, don't do that on my account," I said with a breezy smile. "I'm actually starting to ship you too. You should make it official." "Leo, don't be like this," she pleaded, her voice cracking. "The launch was a disaster. I need you right now. Please, come back to me." She reached for my arm. I pulled away sharply. The motion wasn't violent, but my rejection was absolute. "Sophia, there is nothing left between us. Please stop harassing me." Her face went pale. "You're lying, Leo," she whispered, her tone shifting to one of pure desperation. "You promised you'd take care of me for the rest of our lives. Have you forgotten? Why don't you let your little assistant take care of you? I clearly wasn't doing a very good job." I remained unmoved. "How many times do I have to tell you? I just see him as a little brother," she cried, on the verge of hysteria. I pulled out my phone and played a video a friend had sent me. It was security footage from the hotel the night before our City Hall appointment. It clearly showed Sophia and Caleb walking into a single hotel room together, embracing, and not emerging until noon the next day. Is this what you call separate rooms, and nothing happened? It's not what it looks like. Let me explain. This doesn't prove anything. Sophia, I stared her down, my voice level and sharp, peeling back the last layer of her delusion. The moment you agreed to spend an entire night alone in a hotel room with another man, what did or didn't happen in that room stopped mattering to me. Do you understand? The color drained from her face. Cornered and exposed, she lashed out, the truth finally spilling out in a torrent of rage. "What do you know? If you were a little more needy, if you relied on me more instead of being so damn brilliant and capable all the time, maybe I wouldn't have had to look for comfort somewhere else." In that moment, I understood everything. She had become addicted to being admired, to being needed. All my hard work, all my success, everything I did to support and protect her. In her eyes, it had become a threat, something she couldn't fully control. The fragile, incompetent Caleb was the perfect vessel for her burgeoning savior complex. My entire worldview felt like it was crumbling. So being too good at my job was my original sin? That's some truly touching logic, Sophia. If your maternal instincts are that strong, why don't you go adopt a child? Why bother digging through a dumpster to find a piece of trash like Caleb? "Leo, you bastard," she screamed, shaking with fury. All her attempts at pleading, at compromise, at weakness were shattered. "Don't you think for a second I can't survive without you? Reed Innovations will be just fine." "Oh, really?" The sarcastic smile on my face deepened, mingled with a profound sense of relief. I grabbed my suitcase. "Well then, I wish you the best of luck. My final words were light, but they landed like a slap across her face. I walked past her without a second glance, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw Lauren Sinclair. The renowned CEO of Apex Dynamics was sitting in a corner, munching on popcorn and watching our little melodrama, like it was the season finale of a hit reality show. Boarding the plane, I could buckle my seatbelt and close my eyes, ready to shut out the world. Then I heard a familiar voice from the seat next to me. I seriously need to start reading my horoscope. My luck today is just abysmal. My headache intensified. During the flight, I could feel her staring at me. It was relentless. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and opened my eyes, meeting her gaze. Her eyes were wide, practically screaming, "Spill the tea," and her expression was one of someone about to burst from holding back 1,000 questions. "Just ask whatever you want to ask," I sighed, resigned. "I don't want you to hurt yourself holding it in." Her face lit up like a Christmas tree. She leaned forward eagerly. "Really? Okay, no holding back. Let's have it. What is the hot, juicy, scandalous gossip between you, Sophia, and that little wilting flower she's so obsessed with? Are you sure you're the ruthless CEO of Apex Dynamics?" I couldn't help but ask. "Excuse me, it's after hours," she retorted, pouting. "Do you expect me to keep my work face on 24/7? Let me live a little." She leaned in again. "Come on, tell me." "No comment," I said, crossing my arms. "Hey." Her excitement evaporated, replaced by a comical pout. Her face scrunched up in annoyance. "Then why did you tell me to ask? You take it back. So stingy." She huffed, turned away, and started watching a show on her tablet. The plane landed in the sun-drenched beauty of Miami. This was the city Sophia and I had dreamed of visiting together. Now I was here alone. After grabbing my luggage, I took the hotel shuttle and checked in. As I pulled out my key card, I heard a beep from the room directly across the hall. The door swung open. I looked up, my heart sinking with a sense of cosmic absurdity. "You have got to be kidding me," Lauren and I said in perfect unison. The next morning, the sun was brilliant. I threw on some casual clothes and sunglasses, ready to explore the city and clear my head. The moment I opened my door, however, Lauren's smiling face was there to greet me. "Huh, I've figured it all out," she declared with a triumphant grin. "As your top competitor, I keep very close tabs on every move Reed Innovations makes." "Right," I said, walking past her without breaking stride. "Oh, don't be mad," she chirped, falling in a step beside me. "It's Sophia's loss." She threw away a diamond to pick up a worthless rock. "Lauren, what do you want?" I stopped and turned to face her, my brow furrowed. "My point is," she said, puffing out her chest and giving me a playful wink, "since Sophia doesn't want you, you should be with me." Huh. I was completely lost. Oh no. Realizing how that sounded, she quickly backpedaled. Join Apex. With us working together, we could absolutely crush Reed Innovations. We'll make Sophia regret the day she was born. Not interested. Later, on the beach, I stared at Lauren, who was happily sipping from a coconut. "I already told you I'm not interested." "I expected you to say that," she said, taking a long sip. "Even the best salesmen get told no a few times first. I'm confident I can win you over." "Lauren, don't you have some kind of business event to attend here?" I tried to steer her back to reality. "My most important business right now is poaching you," she declared. "My assistants can handle the small stuff." She suddenly brandished a massive water gun from out of nowhere. "All right, no more work talk. Time to relax." And with that, she opened fire. For the next few weeks, wherever I went, Lauren was there, as if she'd planted a GPS tracker on me. When I wandered through the city's historic, cobblestoned alleys, she'd be right behind me, backpack on and ice cream in hand, acting as my personal tour guide. When I hiked to a fog-shrouded mountain peak, she'd follow, panting and complaining the whole way up, only to shout with renewed energy at the top, "This view is incredible." We spent the better part of a month like that. She was incredibly thoughtful and took care of everything, but she never once mentioned her offer for me to join Apex again. One evening, standing by the pier at South Point Park, I couldn't hold back anymore. "All right, Lauren, have you decided to abandon Apex Dynamics? Are you making a career change to be my personal tour guide?" "Of course not. That's the empire my father built for me," she said, hands on her hips, looking at me like I was insane. "Did you really think I was just playing around with you all day?" She pulled out her phone and waved it in front of my face conspiratorially. "Behold the magic of technology. I've been handling all my meetings, approvals, and decisions late at night while you were sound asleep." For a fleeting second, I thought I saw faint dark circles under her eyes. "Hey, Leo, let's go see a puppet show tomorrow," she said, already planning our next adventure, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I'm done playing," I said, shaking my head. She froze, a flicker of anxiety in her eyes. I stood up and stretched. Can't just have fun all the time. A man's got to earn a living. So, what are the benefits like at Apex? Lauren stared at me, dumbfounded. A second later, her eyes went wide, as if a million stars had just exploded within them. Leo, are you serious? You'll do it. Yeah, I nodded. Yes. That's amazing, she yelled, jumping up and down like a little kid. You can name your salary. As she suddenly stopped, her expression shifted, and she lunged at me playfully. Wait a minute. You were just messing with me before. You can't hold it against me when I start. I laughed, dodging her attack. We'll see how you perform, she said with an arrogant pout. And we are still going to the puppet show. I've been looking forward to it. A few days later, I quietly joined Apex Dynamics. Lauren had wanted to throw a massive welcome party and invite the press to proclaim it to the world, but I shut that down immediately. I didn't want any unnecessary drama. She understood without any argument. Don't worry, Leo, she'd said, patting her chest. I know you hate all that corporate nonsense. You just focus on what you do best, designing brilliant things. Turn your genius ideas into reality. As for the difficult suppliers and the nitpicky distributors, she waved her hand, her smile confident and radiant. Leave them to me. A warmth spread through my chest. It was a feeling of being seen and valued that I had never once gotten from Sophia. At Apex, I threw myself into developing a new product. Lauren gave me an astonishing amount of freedom and control, with resources greenlit, no questions asked. All the brilliant, radical ideas that Sophia had shot down as too aggressive, too expensive, or too complex for users were not only understood here, but given fertile ground to grow. Inspiration flowed like a torrent. I had a powerful feeling that we were creating something that would completely change the industry. Just as the new product was nearing completion, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Sophia, her voice heavy with exhaustion. Leo, I know I was wrong. I hung up before she could finish and made a mental note to change my number. The next evening, when I got back to my apartment building, she was there, waiting for me. She was wearing a pale yellow dress, one that used to be my favorite. The moment she saw me, her eyes lit up, and she hurried over. Leo, you're finally back, she said with a gentle smile, holding up a thermos. You haven't eaten, have you? I've been learning to cook. I made something for you to try. For a dizzying moment, I saw the woman I had first fallen in love with, the Sophia I had loved down to my bones. But that beautiful memory had long since been crushed to dust by her own hands. If you have nothing else to say, Ms. Reed, please leave, I said, my voice like ice. Leo, please, she said, grabbing my hand, her voice pleading. I fired Caleb. We can go back to how things were. Please, don't you dare use the past to discuss me. I spat, yanking my hand away. You don't have the right. I turned and walked toward the building entrance. I was wrong, Leo. I was really wrong. Please forgive me, she cried out desperately. You wanted to marry me, right? We could go tomorrow. We'll get the license, I promise. No, thank you. I stopped and looked her directly in the eye, speaking each word with chilling clarity. Sophia, I am genuinely, sincerely grateful to you. Thank you for not showing up at City Hall that day. You're the one who cut the final thread. You set me free. No, you love me. You love me, she repeated, her voice unraveling, a wild look in her eyes. I didn't give her a second glance. I walked inside and closed the heavy door behind me. For the next few days, Sophia waited outside my apartment, putting on one tragic performance after another. It was exhausting. Finally, after a call to building security, she stopped coming. Later, through the grapevine, I heard the full story. Reed Innovations, once a titan of the industry, had collapsed faster and more completely than I ever could have imagined. First, Caleb Gordon, the man Sophia had placed all her faith in, had driven the company into the ground. Every major project he led, with Sophia's full backing, was a catastrophic failure. Design flaws, broken promises, terrible user experiences. Their biggest clients left in droves. In a fit of rage, Sophia finally fired him. But Caleb, in a final act of betrayal, retaliated by packaging up all of Reed's core intellectual property, contract details, and even sensitive client data, and selling it for cheap to the company's hungriest competitors. Furious and full of regret, Sophia pressed charges. Caleb ended up in prison, getting what he deserved, but it was too late. Reed Innovations was a hollowed-out shell of its former self. Meanwhile, Apex Dynamics, powered by the new product I had designed, quickly dominated the market, becoming the new industry leader. When Sophia learned I was working for Apex, she stormed into our headquarters, her desperation curdled into pure rage. She stood in the middle of the glittering lobby and shrieked, "Leo Vance, you traitor!" Her voice was raw and sharp, dripping with a venomous hatred. "It was you. It had to be you, pulling strings behind the scenes. You watched Reed Innovations burn and did nothing. You ungrateful snake. I bet you're happy now, aren't you? Her shrill accusations echoed through the bright, modern space, sounding utterly unhinged. The news reached me in seconds, and I bolted downstairs. But Lauren had gotten there first. She was standing in front of Sophia, unleashing a rapid-fire barrage of razor-sharp words. You have the audacity to call anyone a traitor? Sophia, open your eyes. Who was the one who drove Leo away? Who threw away a true partner for a useless, spineless leech? Who let an incompetent fool sign away major contracts? Who was so careless that our trade secrets got leaked? It was you. From start to finish, it was all you. Lauren's voice cut through the air like a whip. What gives you the right to come here and cause a scene? Is it that mouth of yours, the one that's only good for blaming others for the grave you dug yourself? Wake up, Sophia. Your life is a mess because you made it that way. You threw away gold because you preferred digging through a sewer for a shit-covered rock. In the office, Lauren was warm and approachable. But when faced with an enemy, her entire demeanor shifted. She became a predator, fierce and utterly dominant. Sophia, withered and pathetic, stumbled backward, completely overwhelmed. There was no trace of the powerful Iron Lady left. Finally, snapping, Sophia lunged at Lauren. It was you, you little bitch. You did this. Slap. I got there just in time, my hand connecting with Sophia's cheek. She stared at me, stunned, her expression a mask of disbelief. Leo, you hit me. I'm sorry, I said, my voice devoid of emotion as I looked at her like she was a stranger. But I will not tolerate you disrespecting my boss. No, you wouldn't. You're not this cruel. My words seemed to drain the last of the strength from her body. She collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. In that moment, she finally understood. The man whose loyalty she had taken for granted, the man whose value she only recognized after she had personally pushed him away and trampled on his dignity, was gone forever. So, back in my office, Lauren bounced over to me, her eyes shining like a kid who had just won a fight. That was a pretty good takedown, right? Did it help you blow off some steam? Don't you ever do that again, I said, my voice a low reprimand. You don't know what a desperate person is capable of. She could have hurt you. Sorry, Lauren said, making a piteous face that didn't match her defiant tone at all. I'll do it again next time. I sighed. I had no defense against this woman. I turned to leave, but she blocked the door. She clasped her hands behind her back, tilting her head and batting her eyelashes. She drew out her words in a teasing sing-song. Mr. Vance, I just avenged you in a most spectacular fashion. Don't you think I deserve a little thank you? I looked at her face, so close to mine, her expression screaming, give me my reward. I was speechless, trying to think of what to say. Any material gift would feel cheap and distant. As I stood there, frowning in thought, Lauren's playful smile deepened. She suddenly rose up on her toes, her cheeks flushing slightly. She leaned in close, her voice dropping to a whisper that was meant only for me, laced with a surprising hint of vulnerability and a seriousness I had never heard from her before. Or maybe, you could just be mine. 3 months later, Lauren and I got our marriage license at City Hall. There were no ghosts, no drama, just the two of us. That evening, she was curled up on the sofa, lazily tapping away on her tablet, when she suddenly burst out laughing. You'll never guess what kind of business proposal just landed in my inbox. She handed me the tablet. On the screen was a buyout offer from Reed Innovations. The price was insultingly low, and it came with a bizarre condition, that Sophia Reed be appointed as my special assistant. She just doesn't give up, I said, raising an eyebrow. Well, my husband is a genius. Can you blame her? Lauren said, her eyes twinkling with mischief. I pulled out my phone and brought up the photo from our bedside table, a picture of our marriage certificate. Send her this. Lauren's eyes curved into crescents of pure delight. Brilliant idea. Her fingers flew across the screen, sending the email. A moment later, she pulled me close, planted a quick, loud kiss on my lips, and simultaneously snapped a picture with her phone. Let me just add a real-time bonus, she grinned.